On the road again is WWE for the first time in well over a year, starting July 16th with SmackDown in Houston, as announced by WWE themselves earlier on in the day on Friday. That was touted all night long on last night's SmackDown for May 21st, 2021. This is my audio review for the show. I'm Graham Jason Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well. Very exciting stuff. I mean, obviously it can be argued, is it too soon? Blah, blah, blah. The fact of the matter is this. With all these other companies welcoming back fans starting in the month of July. I mean, I've seen there's a wrestling show coming up here in Connecticut, not for a major company, but for an independent company called Northeast Wrestling that I've loved to attend for the last 12 years now. They're running a show here in Connecticut late next month. Granted, it's not indoors, but still a lot of companies are going back on the road, welcoming fans back into buildings and doing outside shows, which is perfect given the summer season, at least for us here in like the Northeast. Down south, it doesn't really matter, like in Florida and Texas, I'm sure. But for the Northeast, now you can do outside shows, and here in Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, WWE is going back into actual buildings. But again, it can be argued all day long. Is it too soon? Is it safe? Blah, blah, blah. But with all the other companies going back on the road, AEW obviously first and foremost because they were the first ones to do it. They've been having fans in the building now for a while, gradually more and more and more. Seemingly safely. I've never been to an AEW show during the pandemic, but I haven't heard too many bad things about it. Obviously, they're going to have a capacity crowd for Double or Nothing. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of people say a lot of stuff about that. Oh, is it too soon to be having a capacity crowd? Yeah, the mandates were lifted, I think, across the country for the most part, fucking a week ago. Double or Nothing, like the next day, or AEW said the next day for like Double or Nothing. It might have been like right before that, though. I don't remember, but they were like, oh yeah, we're going to welcome back 5,000 people for Double or Nothing. And again, I'm sure it's going to be done safely, and that's great. But I wouldn't give WWE a lot of shit for going back on the road. It is going to be a 25-city tour through Labor Day. So that tells me this is limited, but I feel like this is really just an experiment to see how it goes, how many people they have. I highly doubt that we go back to the Thunderdome in September after Labor Day. I would be shocked. It's May right now. Things are getting better. COVID is obviously not completely gone. The pandemic is not yet officially over, obviously. But I would be shocked if they did 25 different cities for SmackDowns, pay-per-views, and Raws. I don't know what the math is exactly, but I would assume from mid-July, on July 16th with that SmackDown, all the way through Monday on Labor Day in September, Labor Day on that first or second Monday in September, would come out to around 25 cities. Now, maybe that includes house shows. They haven't put out the full, complete schedule yet. I just know, I think they're going to be in Texas all 3 days for maybe not the same city, but I don't remember exactly. I know it was SmackDown, July 16th, Money in the Bank, which is now official for that Sunday, July 18th, and then Monday with Raw, I think also in Texas. So that's pretty cool. That's very exciting for me, for someone who likes to attend shows. And listen, if you don't feel comfortable, then don't fucking go. I mean, it's really as simple as that. And if this was a year ago and they were doing this type of shit, obviously I think a lot more people would be skeptical and have more of a reason to be skeptical. If they do them in the right cities, you know, safety guidelines being permitted to and stuff like that. I mean, they just did WrestleMania with 25,000 people, and I was there. It looked like they were mostly spaced out. Excuse me. And Florida's a different story than Texas and a lot of these other states. If that worked out well for the most part, I don't see why they can't go back on the road starting this summer. And we all heard the reports and the rumors per WrestleVotes and other sources that Fox was kind of sort of pressuring WWE to get back on the road as of like a couple days ago, probably before then, saying like, listen, if all these other sports and even other wrestling companies are doing it, you have no reason to not do it. They're not paying $1 billion for SmackDown for them to film the fucking show in an empty arena with TV screens. They had to kind of go back on the road on the sooner side. This makes the most sense to me. That's the perfect weekend for it. You kind of experiment with SmackDown, see how it is. You have Money in the Bank that Sunday, a great pay-per-view to have with fans. That was part of the reason why they did the Money in the Bank ladder matches last year at the WWE headquarters, because it's just not the same. I mean, we had a ladder match at WrestleMania, and it was a lot of fun, but without fans. I mean, I guess with the, added in audio, it wasn't that bad, but they didn't have added in audio for WrestleMania. That was a different story. They didn't have the canned in cheers and boos and shit like that. even if you do have that for Money in the Bank, without fans there, it's still not the same. So I'm glad we're getting fans back for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view in July this year. But yeah, very exciting stuff. I look forward to that, and that is a little less than 2 months away. Now, I got to start off this review by saying this. I got to say happy birthday to the amazing one and only, the love of my life, tag team partner for life, Alexis, who you guys have probably heard on WrestleRant Radio and several times here on the channel before if you followed me for any stretch of time. It was her birthday yesterday, so we didn't get a chance to watch SmackDown live. We were out pretty much the entire day in New York City, which was a lot of fun. And we were back in time for SmackDown, but we watched some other stuff instead and just kind of hung out. So I watched the first hour last night, caught up on it this morning. Another great show. And I got to say this, too. We actually had a chance yesterday, and I'm going to upload the video probably on Monday of this coming Monday. We had the chance to talk to Kevin Owens on Friday during the afternoon, during her birthday, during her actual birthday. So I signed up for the random giveaway that Cricket Wireless does for the meet and greets, which I think I knew that they did, but I wasn't 100% sure. I saw someone say something about the Rhea one, and I won. So Rhea Ripley did one on Monday. The giveaway was last week. I won. So we got to meet Rhea Ripley for, again, it's only 60 seconds, but considering it's free and you have to pay like $120 to talk to him for 2 minutes, which, again, it depends on the person, but for, free of charge to interact with a person for 60 seconds is pretty fucking cool. I get a lot less than that time when I go to the Access sometimes. Usually it's no more than like 15 seconds. So anyway, we got to talk to Rhea Ripley on Monday. That video should be up tomorrow. And then I entered another giveaway for a Kevin Owens meet and greet, and I won that one. So we got to talk to KO yesterday while we're sitting in Times Square. So that was a lot of fun. And he actually encouraged us to go to Olive Garden. We presented him with a choice. Should we go to this local burger place or go to Olive Garden? He chose Olive Garden, and a great choice because Olive Garden is awesome. And it was awesome. It was very tasty. So let's get into this show. I thought it was a very good show on Friday night for May 21st. 2021. So because WWE is going back on the road, they had Sonya Deville, the new de facto authority figure on SmackDown. She was Adam Pearce's assistant for a while, but now it kind of seems like she's either on the same level as Adam Pearce or has kind of superseded his authority, because it seems like, and it feels like we see her a lot more on SmackDown and Raw now than we do Adam Pearce. So Sonya Deville was out there in the ring to welcome out the Parade of Champions, all the champions from SmackDown, including the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Rey and Dominik Mysterio, the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions as of last week, SmackDown's own Natalya and Tamina, the Intercontinental Champion Apollo Crews, who cut a promo saying that he's not only defending the Intercontinental Championship on the show, but he will be retaining the Intercontinental Championship on this show, as well as the SmackDown Women's Champion, Bianca Belair. Now, Roman Reigns was not out there. Roman's old music hit, and I got very confused for a second because he's had this new theme now for like 2 or 3 weeks. So the new the old theme hits, and out comes Paul Heyman. So maybe that's the Paul Heyman theme, and Paul Heyman's never really had a theme. So I don't know, that was a little weird. But Paul Heyman comes out and says that the rest of these champions are nothing more than title holders. Roman Reigns is not a champion, he is the champion. So he'll be out later out in the show to address the audience and the fact that come July, when fans are welcome back into the building, and he had said this on Twitter, did Roman, earlier on in the day, that you can acknowledge your tribal chief in person, which is amazing. So this was a very good segment. It immediately led into a 6-woman tag team match because Bayley came out. She was upset that Bianca cheated to beat her at the pay-per-view. It was kind of a fluky finish, so I can see why that feud is being extended. Bayley and Bianca went at it, which brought out Natalya, or rather Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Why they're able to be on SmackDown, maybe they explain this. I'm not sure. I don't remember them saying anything about it, but maybe I missed it. They shouldn't be able to appear on SmackDown. They're not the current WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. I know they're still feuding with Natalya and Tamina, but if you're not the champions, you shouldn't be able to go to a different show, in my opinion. If it's like a pre-tape promo, which we've seen before, maybe. But for shit like this, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe they use the dumb brand-to-brand invitational rule. I didn't hear that. We haven't heard that in months. I don't know. That's merely nitpicking on my part. So that caused Natalya and Tamina to rush the ring to save Bianca. So I guess that makes Natalya and Tamina de facto baby faces now. And you kind of got that feeling last week when they won the tag titles. The big pyro celebration went off. They cut emotional promos afterward. And WWE has really been playing up this Natalya and Tamina title win. I mean, they were on Talking Smack last week. They were on Raw Talk this past week. They put up a bunch of videos, sharing their reactions backstage and fans' reactions. They're really playing this up as a big deal. Good for Tamina. I still think she's not good, but, it's her first real title reign in the last 11 years in WWE. That's got to mean something to her, so good for her. She's probably the sweetest person behind the scenes. As a character, I don't give a shit about her. But they're officially baby faces now, are Natalya and Tamina. We get the 6-woman tag team match. Solid stuff. I thought it was a good match. Baszler eventually forced Natalya to submit for the victory, so thank fucking God Shayna finally won something. The woman loses constantly. She got pinned in a matter of minutes by... Who was it on Monday? Was it Natalya? She got pinned by either her or Tamina, because they had the WWE Women's Tag Team title rematch on Raw this week, and it was over in a matter of minutes. We're getting another rematch, by the way, on Monday's Raw. So, I guess Shayna earned another title win here, or earned another championship opportunity, but don't do the fucking rematch this past week on Raw. Why would they do that rematch if we're getting the match again on Raw this coming week? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So, the match itself was fine, gave the heel some heat, put the heat back on them, gave them a win. Obviously, Bayley lost the WrestleMania Backlash. Shayna and Nia lost last week and this past week to Natalya and Tamina. So it made sense for them to win here. Maybe we get Bayley and Bianca at the next pay-per-view. I assume that we do. I think the longer they wait on that Sasha and Bianca rematch, the better. Even if it's just the July Money in the Bank pay-per-view, I think you do that rematch in front of fans. I would save it for SummerSlam personally as a traditionalist. You save your biggest matches for the biggest shows. But Money in the Bank has traditionally been a pretty big show, so if they want to do it there and then maybe a third match at SummerSlam, that's fine too. We got an Aleister Black vignette on the show as well, promoting his return, which, spoiler alert, we got at the end of the show, so we'll get to that a little bit later. Aleister Black is indeed back, and I'll talk about that. I guess it was in the title of this video, so it's not really a spoiler if you clicked on the fucking video, but yeah, so we got a vignette for Aleister Black, which told me, hey, he's not coming back tonight, because why would he if they just put up a vignette for him? So we'll get to that a little bit later. We had Shinsuke Nakamura versus King Corbin. You're probably asking yourself, who gives a shit? I don't really care. The King Corbin character ran its course a while ago. Nakamura taking the crown, who cares? The crown means nothing. It's a stupid prop. They have decent chemistry together. This was another good match from them. I just can't bring myself to care about the feud. It's over a stupid crown. So I've seen the suggestions and predictions from people. Maybe this leads to the return of King of the Ring. And Nakamura may not win it, but at least they kind of determine who the next king is. Because, I think that'd be awesome. I think we should get the King of the Ring tournament, if not annually, then every other year. I think that would be best. I don't think that's where they're going with this. I think they're just doing this just to keep both guys busy. So they had a decent match, but before we even got the match, more importantly than the match itself, we got the SmackDown debut people of Rick Boogs, who, not boobs, but Boogs. It's spelled similarly, oddly enough. So his original name, which I thought was a better name, was Eric Bugenhagen. I think that's how you pronounce it. Much better name. I think that's his real name, and then they shortened it soon after to just Rick Boogs, R-I-K-B-U-G-E-Z. Now I think they're spelling Boogs B-O-O-G-Z or G-E-Z or something. Either way, he debuted here on SmackDown as the lead guitarist for Shinsuke Nakamura. He got some mic time, played him to the ring, which was fucking cool. Reminded me of the Nita Strauss entrance for Nakamura from WrestleMania 34, which was a great entrance. And unfortunately for Nakamura, it was all downhill from there because he turned heel and never really won anything of importance from them. He won a bunch of titles, but nothing really at the main event level. But anyway, maybe it was Nita's fault. I'm just kidding. But this was cool. I like seeing Rick Boogs on the show. This guy is so fucking entertaining. And it's not even like he can't wrestle. Like, the guy isn't Shawn Michaels in the ring. But from the few matches I saw of his on NXT TV over 2 fucking years ago, like, seriously, I think this guy's been with the company now for like 4 years. And he's one of these classic PC people where they signed them, and he had a lot of buzz before he came to the company. He was huge on YouTube, this big social media star, maybe with Barstool or something, I don't know. I think he was a bodybuilder, something along those lines. And they've done absolutely nothing with this guy. He was all over the WWE PC YouTube channel. He was in the crowd last year when they were at the PC for the shows, and he was entertaining as seen in the audience. but we haven't really seen much of him since then, which I thought was bizarre. So great to see. I mean, I know he was in those Old Spice commercials earlier this year, which was fucking stupid. I mean, the guy's entertaining, but like it was a complete waste of his talent. So I'm glad he's in a decent role. I don't know if this is a regular thing or if it was a one-off. I have no idea, but I love Rick Boogs. The guy is wildly entertaining, and I think he would get over once fans return as well. So seeing him was cool. Nakamura needing his help to beat Corbin with an inside cradle, I thought was questionable. I know they want to protect Corbin, and that's fine, but like Nakamura, it should not come at his expense. This guy should be and can be a future opponent for Roman Reigns if they build him correctly. Beating King Corbin with a fucking inside cradle and help from Rick Boogs is not exactly going to make him feel like a threat to Roman Reigns. I mean, that's a match you could do at Money in the Bank if you wanted to. I assume we're getting Roman and Jimmy Uso at the pay-per-view at Hell in a Cell and not, Cesaro again. Maybe we will, and I think that'd be great, but I think that we're probably going to get Jimmy. Unless something drastic happens with Jimmy, I would, give Roman a different opponent for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and I would have it be Shinsuke Nakamura personally. So anyway, that was fine. Speaking of Roman Reigns, he was out for a promo with his new entrance theme, so I got really worried after hearing his Roman's original theme not once but twice, because Paul Heyman came out to it at the start of the show, and then they also played it in the graphic when they were promoting Roman's promo later on in the night. That graphic of Roman standing over Cesaro at WrestleMania Backlash, which is reaction, blah, blah, blah. They played the old Roman Reigns theme song. So again, I don't know if that's intentional. I don't know if that's like a second theme, of like a background theme for him. I have no fucking clue. I don't know, but I'm very glad he's still using the new theme because it's absolutely amazing. It's probably my new favorite theme in WWE right now. So he comes out to it wearing a tracksuit, which, yes, admittedly, I did look on WWE Shop for. I would buy that in a fucking heartbeat. I think it's just really just a black and white tracksuit with his logo slapped onto it. I don't give a shit. I am eating up everything Roman Reigns is doing right now. I would buy that in a heartbeat. Doesn't look like they're currently selling it because I don't think it's an official piece of merchandise from WWE yet. It looked like just a tracksuit, like an Adidas tracksuit with the Roman Reigns tribal chief logo or whatever slapped on the chest. Like it wasn't even embroidered in. It was just like a sticker or something or whatever. So that was funny. But he and Heyman ran down all the opponents that Roman Reigns has beaten during his time back from WWE or during his time back to WWE as Universal Champion. Because remember, Roman Reigns returned at SummerSlam, so him losing this year at SummerSlam, I know a lot of people want to see him hold the championship till WrestleMania, and hey, listen, I'd be all for that. But I think it's also possible he loses at SummerSlam and then maybe gets it back or whatever. So he's been back now since August, which is a whopping, 9 months now he's been champion, which is crazy. Because he returned at SummerSlam, and then literally a week later, I think the only reason why they did it a week later was because of Roman Reigns, I feel like. They did Payback a week later, and Roman won the Universal Championship on that show. So they ran down every opponent that Roman has beaten during his time as champion. They mentioned Daniel Bryan being banished from SmackDown. They mentioned Edge and Bryan being pinned with the stack pin at WrestleMania, and we haven't seen Edge since either. They mentioned how he KO'd Kevin Owens a few months ago. He baptized Jey Uso during their feud late last year. He humanized the monster among men, Braun Strowman, which, remember, they had a match on SmackDown. I mean, he also pinned him in that triple threat to win the Universal Championship. But he also beat Braun on that first SmackDown show post-draft. I don't know if it was it wasn't the first Fox show, but it was like a big show, I remember. And it was like the season premiere or whatever the fuck they call it. And they had a match on SmackDown that was actually pretty good. So yeah, he beat Braun Strowman. He even said that he scared The Fiend away from SmackDown, which I was surprised that they even mentioned that because Bray Wyatt's been MIA on Raw for weeks now. Maybe he comes back to SmackDown. That's a possibility. SmackDown needs more baby faces. The Fiend shit, I think, is just dead at this point because they've just had him lose just whenever it matters most. But anyway, I thought it was really cool. They literally mentioned every person he has beaten as Universal Champion, including Cesaro coming out of WrestleMania Backlash. So, speaking of whom, that brought out Cesaro with his arm in a sling after he was attacked by Seth Rollins at the end of the pay-per-view on Sunday. And he mentioned, listen, I hear all the yapping and the yapping and the yapping. I want another shot. And are you too much of a coward to give it to me? Now, in Roman's defense, He beat Cesaro decisively on Sunday. It's not like the Usos interfered, or there was a count-out win, or a DQ win, or there was even interference of any kind from Heyman or anyone. Roman locked in the guillotine. Cesaro's ass passed out. Yeah, he may not have tapped, which I thought it was a great finish because it protected Cesaro in defeat, but he still fucking lost fair and square. He lost. So, technically, he does not deserve another shot. Selfishly, I would love to see him get another shot because that match at WrestleMania Backlash was terrific. I don't think that's the direction we're going in. I was glad they even went off of this. I thought they would completely move on from Cesaro and Roman after Sunday. But the fact that Cesaro interrupted Roman here means we might get at least one more match. It may not be at Hell in the Cell. It could be on SmackDown coming up in the next few weeks. But it doesn't look like this is entirely done, which I was happy with. So Cesaro said he wanted another shot. Roman kind of ducked him a little bit before Roman could even give him an answer. And they were kind of laughing off the idea of Cesaro getting another opportunity. Out comes Seth Rollins with another loud suit, attacking Cesaro from behind. And this was a brutal assault. He threw Cesaro all over ringside into the barricade, smashed his arm up some more, gave him like 3 curb stomps, one of which looked great. I think the first one. The way they shot it from behind, it looked great. Like that's a great camera angle because you don't see like Cesaro's hand going into the mat. You know what I mean? Like he didn't actually, because he's not actually curb stomping these people. So I thought that was really well done. So yeah, we got 3 stomps out of Seth Rollins to Cesaro. I mean, that feud is not yet over. We saw that on Sunday as well. So again, my guess is that they build up Jimmy Uso for a shot at Roman at the June Hell in the Cell pay-per-view. Probably not inside Hell in the Cell. I think that'd be stupid, personally, but whatever. I know Jay lost to Roman at Hell in the Cell, but they had one prior match before that at Clash of Champions. Jimmy and Roman have never faced off, I don't believe, one-on-one. Definitely not recently, so I would not do that inside the Cell. But I think that match happens because we are getting the Usos versus the Street Profits next week. Jimmy asked Sonya Deville for a match against the Profits alongside Jay. She said yes, you got to hype it out a week, which I agree with. Honestly, I wouldn't even do the match on fucking SmackDown. I would have them face, I mean, what other teams even are there? But like Gable and Otis or something. I think the Profits and Usos could be safe for when the Usos are tag team champions because that could be a sexy match. It should be a great match next week. I just wouldn't do it on SmackDown, but that's just me. So Jay wasn't happy about that. I don't think they get back on the same page and then they go after the tag titles. I guess they could get a tag team title opportunity at the next pay-per-view. And you could do Cesaro and Roman one more time, this time inside the Cell. But what do you do with Seth? I really don't want to see a triple threat. I feel like we already had 2 triple threats at the Backlash pay-per-view. We had a 4-way last night on this show. We have a triple threat coming up for the AEW Championship, which I realize is not the same company, but they have a triple threat on the main event of their pay-per-view coming up next weekend for their World Championship. So I don't really want to see. And Rollins has no issues, it seems like, with Roman anyway. I know they kind of teased it, but since Backlash anyway, they haven't had any problems. So I don't know if I would do that. Plus, I would save Rollins and Reigns one-on-one for much later down the road. Maybe SummerSlam or maybe a little bit later. I just wouldn't do that now. So I'm interested to see what they do and where they go with this. I think once the Usos get that tag team title opportunity, and I would not do it in the next pay-per-view, because I could definitely see WWE giving the Mysterios a short run and having the Usos win it on fucking Father's Day, because that's exactly something they would do. Having the first ever father-son tag team title duo lose on Father's Day screams WWE. I don't know. I wouldn't give them the title run that soon. I would wait until like SummerSlam or whatever. So anyway, I thought this was great. I'm very interested to see how the title picture plays out, though. Speaking of the Mysterios, we had them on the show as well, in addition to the opening segment. We had Dominik Mysterio out for a match, one-on-one against Robert Roode. The heels got some mic time beforehand. Despite all the shit-talking they've done to the Mysterios, they have lost literally every time these teams have clashed. I honestly don't remember the last match that Roode and Ziggler won, to be honest with you. Maybe a 6 tag? No, they lost that too against the Profits in Belair a couple weeks ago. I don't know. Either way, I know that Ray beat Dolph. I know Dominik beat Dolph. They won the tag titles on Sunday. And then Dominik beat Robert Roode here. I mean, Dominik is not the most experienced kid in the world, so I think Roode winning would have been perfectly acceptable. It just sounds like they're moving on. I mean, I would have done a rematch, but you can't even really do that at this point if they're losing. Like, I would have had Robert Roode beat Dominik and then Ray. How that earns them a tag team title opportunity, I don't know. But again, it's WWE. Nothing really makes sense. I mean, how the fuck did Shayna and Nia get another tag team title opportunity on Monday's Raw when there's no automatic rematch clause anymore? I have no idea. So Roode loses. I guess that might be it. They're probably going to continue the feud, but the heels have no heat. Like, you got to give them a win at some point. They don't have to win the tag team matches, but they got to at least win one match. Like, Dominik can afford the loss. And I'm all for the champs being booked strong. Like, the Mysterios were booked like shit for so long and looked like such an afterthought for a while. They were losing to fucking Gable and Otis, and I like Gable and Otis, but it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. They shouldn't be losing to guys like Gable and Otis, at least as frequently as they were earlier this year. So, well, I guess we'll see where they go with it, but it looks like Mysterio and Dominik might be, Dominik and Ray might be moving on to another set of challengers very soon. We get to the main event, an Intercontinental Championship Fatal 4-Way match, which brought back memories from 5 years ago today, almost exactly to the day of the awesome Intercontinental title Fatal 4-Way, which Kevin Owens actually tweeted about this morning, and I'm glad he did, because it was an amazing match. I was there for it. Extreme Rules 2016. Owens and Zayn were also in that one, but that one involved instead Cesaro and The Miz. And The Miz was champion, walked out as champion still, a lot like Apollo Crews did here. Spoiler alert. Great match. This was a great match too. I'd probably put the Extreme Rules one slightly above it, but that one was great too. Last night's was a lot of fun. It was Apollo Crews defending against Zayn and Owens again, and Big E. A lot of action. They got a ton of time. I love the fact this got the main event treatment. They told the story that Commander Aziz cost Big E the win, which I thought that would be the story they would tell. But it wasn't just Commander Aziz, because Big E thwarted his interference and got him away from Crews. Owens and Zayn kind of canceled each other out. And then before Crews could capitalize, or before Big E could capitalize, right? Did I say Crews? I meant to say Big E. Big E had the championship won after taking out Aziz. Owens and Zayn were out of the equation. Before anything can happen, the lights go out. Now, full disclosure, I didn't see any spoilers from SmackDown. I don't think anyway. Before I watched it this morning or last night after the fact. I stayed off of social media, and I'm very glad I did. Because the lights go out, and I'm thinking, we see smoke. And honestly, it looked like the smoke from like the Firefly Funhouse promos. And I'm thinking, is Bray Wyatt coming to SmackDown to help, like to cost Big E the win? Like, it was bizarre. And then I realized, holy shit, it's Aleister Black. I'm like, oh, I audibly said, holy shit. And I watched it by myself this morning, and I said it out loud anyway. Like, oh, shit. So he's coming out with, like, this contact in, because, he lost his eye last year. Hey, anything's better than the stupid eye patch. So at least, or he lost his eyesight, I don't fucking know. It does kind of look badass, though, like Kane used to have that, different colored eye. I don't know if he still does, but he did for a long time. So, anyway, he comes out. Apollo Crews grabs Big E's leg. Aleister Black capitalizes before Big E could do anything, and he black masses his ass, allowing Crews to pick up the win, pin Big E, and retain his title. That was really cool. I was not expecting Aleister Black to be back on the show. They've only been doing his vignettes for a couple of weeks, and I think that tonight was the perfect, or last night was the perfect time to do it. But WWE will run these vignettes for fucking months. Like, literally months. Like with Bray Wyatt initially, and I know it had a worthy payoff. They were doing the Firefly Funhouse for like 2 months. Like 8 weeks before they finally brought back Bray Wyatt. And those were a little different because they told the story over the course of the vignettes. This didn't exactly have that. I mean, this one told the story too with the black vignettes, but it was a little bit different. So I'm glad they just kind of cut right to the chase and brought him back here. Why attack Big E? I don't know. The commentators played up the same exact thing. Pat McAfee and Michael Cole asked that question as well. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Hopefully there's a good reason. I don't know why he would go after Big E specifically. I'm not sure, but I like the feud. I do, because Big E needs wins, but I think he can also afford to lose, because he's kind of established at this point. He's a former Intercontinental Champion, 2-time champ. Black has not done really shit since he's come to the main roster. He hasn't really done anything. Definitely hasn't won any championships as far as I can recall. So him beating Big E at the next pay-per-view was fine. They can have a couple of good matches. I don't think we've ever seen Big E and Aleister Black before. It's a fresh match. So I like that a lot. And you keep the championship on Crews, as they should have. Where you go with Crews from here, I don't know. Maybe you could do him and Owens again. I know they did the match on SmackDown a few weeks ago, but maybe that can be the next feud over the Intercontinental Championship. There's probably more people on SmackDown I'm not thinking about, but yeah, those are options. But yeah, no, I think Aleister Black being back is fucking awesome. Very happy to see him back, and hopefully they get it right with him this time. And obviously he's still a heel, as we all figured he would be. And that capped off a really, really good show. I thoroughly enjoyed the SmackDown. It seems like they kind of spend more time on the backstage stuff than they do the stuff in the ring. There really were not a lot of segments to this show. Like, we had the Parade of Champions, which bled over into the 6-woman tag team match, Nakamura and Corbin, the Roman promo, Mysterio and Dominik versus Robert Roode, which was all of like 2 or 3 minutes. And then the 4-way main event. Like, they gave a lot of time to the stuff that mattered, including the Roman promo and the main event. Everything else served a purpose for the most part. The Nakamura-Corbin feud is not lighting the world on fire, but, you know, it's fine enough, I suppose. And they also hyped up a ton of stuff and, you know, kind of talked about the backlash, you know, the fallout, rather, from WrestleMania Backlash. They hyped up the Profits versus the Usos for next week. We got a lot of backstage promos and segments and hype for next week, and the Aleister Black vignette before he came back later in the night. I thought it was a really good show, and SmackDown usually is a good show more often than not. I thought this was no exception. The Blue Brand is killing it right now, and yeah, some shows are better than others, obviously, but I thought this was one of the better installments in recent memory, and that's saying something, because I loved the Throwback show 2 weeks ago. I loved the show before that, headlined by Roman and Daniel Bryan. I thought this was another really, really good show. So, yeah, it's a total 180 compared to Raw. And Raw was marginally better this week. It's been getting better and better, it seems like, the last 2 or 3 weeks. Again, not saying much. Still a chore to sit through most weeks. But SmackDown, at least, has been very entertaining lately. So, that's encouraging to see. Thank you guys for checking out my audio review for the May 21st, 2021 edition of Friday Night SmackDown. We usually do these every single Saturday, so come on back here next Saturday for another SmackDown audio review of one of my favorite shows in wrestling right now, personally. And I enjoy NXT, I enjoy Dynamite, and SmackDown just has one of those more must-see feels to it, largely because of Roman. But, I mean, it's still SmackDown, so, I mean, it does make it one of the better shows, in my opinion. But yeah, be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. I'm going to have my Talking Smack audio review later up a little bit later today, whenever Talking Smack is uploaded. And last week it went up pretty early. So my video went up pretty early, and hopefully, you know, earlier than usual anyway. Hopefully, you know, this one isn't much different. Hopefully this week it goes up on the earlier side as well. It might be up right now as I record. I gotta take a look. But yeah, so also, like I said earlier, we had a chance to talk to Rhea Ripley and Kevin Owens this past week, did Alexis and I. So check out those meet and greet videos. They're only a minute long. Probably going to put the Rhea one up tomorrow, I'm thinking, and then the Kevin Owens one on Monday. So keep an eye out for those. But until next time, guys, have an awesome rest of your weekend. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.